It's that time of the year where we make our way to the most historic and prestigious Grand Prix weekend, and arguably the least exciting, at least when it comes to Formula 1 in recent years. It's Monaco. Monaco was first held in 1929, so we're coming up on 100 years. It's a 3.337 kilometer long circuit, and the race is held over 78 laps. The tyres available for Monaco are the C5, C4 and C3, the exact same we would have had for Imola last week, the softest tyres in the Pirelli range for a very difficult street circuit. You may remember last year was a bit of a shambles due to the extreme wet weather. Took some time to get the race started, and then when we did, it was called off on the formation lap, which honestly was for the best. The conditions were really poor, but it did get better during the race. Wet weather is something we do look forward to at times because it challenges the drivers, and it often throws up some curveballs. Perez did actually win the race ahead of Carlos Sainz, with Verstappen and Leclerc losing out on a drying track after the pit stops. Charles Leclerc was particularly unhappy. It also showed just how dangerous the Monaco track can be when Mick Schumacher lost the rear of his Hadz car while exiting the swimming pool complex, and he hit the barrier very, very hard. The car split apart, but thankfully he was okay. Sadly, just one in a long line of incidents that Mick Schumacher had. It was also a terrible race for Bottas in 2021 as well, when he had a 43-hour pit stop. But let me explain. He was running really well until he pitted, and it wasn't just a slow stop, it was a stop that never happened. He was trying to go from the softs onto the hards, but the right front tyre just wouldn't come off, to the point where they had to retire the car because the wheel nut had been machined and cross-threaded so much they just couldn't remove it. It actually took them further time in the factory after the race just to get that wheel nut off the rim. Poor Valtteri, he doesn't have much luck. As always, here is an onboard lap of the Monaco Grand Prix street circuit from F1 Oh, and by the way, the weather forecast for this weekend is rain. So first off, the one everyone's talking about, Mercedes. We know that Mercedes are bringing their upgrade package to Monaco, which consists of a new sidepod design, new floor, and new front suspension. We've got a brief snippet from Albert Fabriga, so credit to him. He's always got the best images from the pit lane. We can just about see how different the sidepod inlet is on the new design, and these are taken from the Monaco pit lane. We can't obviously see the whole sidepod design from the outside, but we can certainly see that that narrow inlet that they had from the start of the season is now much wider and more in line with what a lot of the other teams are using. So that sidepod is now going to jut out a lot more. When we have proper pictures and video of the new car, I will be doing a full video on the new Mercedes, but it's exciting to see what they're bringing. Speaking of exciting, we've also got a brand new livery from McLaren. It's not the Gulf livery, but it's called the Triple Crown livery, and this is going to be for Monaco and for Spain, and it's celebrating McLaren's history at IndyCar, it's celebrating Le Mans, and of course Formula 1, the Triple Crown. I'm not 100% sure how I feel about it just yet, but I do think I prefer it over the original one. I'm not entirely sold on it just yet. I need a little bit more time. I need to see it on track. But speaking of Gulf and Williams are launching a special livery for Monaco that is being shown off on Friday. So we don't have any pictures of that one just yet. In other news, and before the Monaco Grand Prix, we've had confirmation that in 2026, Honda are going to be partnering with Aston Martin. That's right, Aston Martin will no longer be using Mercedes engines, and they'll be powered by Honda. As we know, right now, Honda still power the Red Bull team, at least in the guise of Red Bull powertrains, but at its core it's still very much a Honda engine. Red Bull have a technical partnership with Ford from 2026 though, which will see them work together with their own in-house Red Bull powertrains division to power both the Red Bull cars and AlphaTauri. And now, after having a change of heart, Honda have decided to supply Aston Martin, which is a pretty big deal, considering Aston Martin have had a close relationship with Mercedes, not just in F1, but in the motor industry itself for a lot of years. Like I've said in a previous video, Monaco isn't the most exciting race for me. I don't massively look forward to it, but we do at least have some interest around the Mercedes upgrade, so I'm very much interested to see how that goes. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.